Well, that was a mixed bag to say the least. Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of this one, guys. This era has been crazy, weird, and the strangest Doctor Who has ever gotten, and this was the culmination of all that. At least so far. This review is going to be a bit scattered because my brain is a bit scattered, and full of spoilers, so buckle in, I guess. So, things I liked. Seeing Anita again. I really liked her character in Joy to the World, so seeing her pop out of the door to save the Doctor was a pleasant surprise. It was a bit of a stretch, but not too much, since it was established she has been looking in at the Doctor all this time, various points in his life, which I thought was kind of fun. You know, we even got to see Pertwee there. I liked the stuff with Poppy a lot more than I thought I would. I thought the idea of trying to keep this little girl alive was an interesting addition to the story and gave them a bit of extra motivation. I also think the solution was very well done. RTD found the way to keep the child alive, but not in a way that the Doctor has to keep looking after her. Even the fact that the Doctor was going to take this child on his adventures through time and space seemed a bit, I don't know, a bit weird. Although I guess it made sense, since Shruti really is the, as RTD has even said, the most emotional Doctor. I knew something was going to happen though, because, we couldn't have a whole season like that. So when the coat got smaller and smaller, which I thought that was a really clever way to show her disappearing from existence without having to actually show a baby disappearing from existence. And also too, I thought it was like a unique motivation for the regeneration to happen later on. So what else? Archie Punjabi was very good as the Rani. I liked her. I thought they did the character well enough, although she was a bit wasted at the end. But keeping her amoral, she wasn't totally evil, just completely indifferent to everyone and everything, like the Rani should be. You know, there's that part where she says, if you don't try to stop me from recreating the Time Lords, I'll just leave you alone. I believed her. If it was the Master, I would say, no, don't trust him. But, it's the Rani, so she probably honestly would have just left them alone, because she doesn't care. I'm glad they kept her this neutral way and didn't just make her a crazed villain. Stayed true to the character. I can't say so much for Omega, but I'll get to that a bit later. Other things I liked, little callbacks, like the Indigo teleportation thing. That's how you should do a callback. It's one of those where if you don't know the original story, if you don't know about Journey's End or Stolen Earth, whichever one it was, it's irrelevant to the story, but it works, I'm glad Mel and the Rani got to meet. Would have been a wasted opportunity if they didn't interact somehow. Before I get into the negatives, I have a couple questions. The Time Lords, being sterile, I guess. I wasn't quite clear, is that because of what the Master did, or is that something that goes back before that? I can tell you when they first started talking about it, I was fully bracing myself for RTD to bring the looms into canon. Wouldn't have hated that, actually. So also, is Poppy Susan's mother? Is she called Susan because she's named after Susan Triad because Belinda told her that she saved her life? Oh wait, Belinda doesn't remember that. Never mind. I honestly thought we were going to get, something to do with Susan. What was the point of bringing Susan in if she wasn't going to have anything to do with the finale? Maybe she has something to do with later on? Something to do with the boss, maybe? Because that's still lingering in the background, apparently. Now, on to some things I really didn't like. I wasn't really as upset as some were by CGI monster Sutek. I know it's not classic Sutek, but, I thought it was fine. Omega, however, I gotta be honest, that whole thing was just awful. The design was pretty cool, but, this giant mummy thing, but not for Omega. It was a really dumb idea for Omega. He's such a fascinating multi-layered villain, and turning him into this giant mummy who's just there to gobble up the Rani and then get defeated by Chekhov's Vindicator, I was not a big fan of that. And since I really did like this version of the Rani, I was really disappointed when he picked her up and gobbled her up. But, the Master always finds a way to come back. Anything can happen. Maybe in this new reality, because the timeline was changed, maybe it never happened. Anita Dobson's Rani is still out there, so maybe she can come back or something. I don't know. I'm sure we'll see the character again at some point, since, like I say, she's still out there due to that time ring. But speaking of characters and actors being back, can I just say I hate internet leaks and rumors more so than ever? The end of this was all over the internet. And that's not for me looking for it. That's just for me seeing clickbait headlines and YouTube thumbnails. I'm fine with people reporting on this stuff, but sometimes I wish they would come up with a way to get attention without actually putting things in the headline or the title of the video. Like I say, I wasn't seeking this stuff out, but I was just spoiled from seeing those things. As far as what I think about it, it's funny. I wasn't a big fan of Jodie's era overall, but I do admit lately, I've kind of had a bit of nostalgia for it in a weird way. I think it just has something to do with other things that were going on in my life at the time. I just remember some other things during that time pretty fondly, so even though I didn't like most of the stories, seeing Jodie back and with Shooty was actually pretty cool. Actually makes me look forward to her Big Finish adventures more. Again though, I wish it could have been more of a surprise since it was a rumor, like the regeneration itself. I've always wanted to be surprised by a regeneration, not knowing it was coming. This was the chance for that to happen. Oh well, and the results of the regeneration, which was also spoiled by all those rumor headlines my social algorithms kept sending me. I hope to be proven wrong, but I am not a big fan of the Doctor regenerating into Billy Piper. It just feels so gimmicky, and again, like the Ronnie, like Omega, like practically every big moment RTD has done since he came back, totally irrelevant to the new viewers he claims can come in without any prior knowledge and still understand the show. I mean, I'm glad it wasn't another bi-regeneration. I was afraid that with RTD, we were just going to get bi-regenerations from now on. Honestly, this era is starting to remind me of the John Nathan Turner era from the classic series, especially the latter part where he just kept bringing back all these classic villains and all these big name actors just for gimmicks to get people watching the show. I mean, I don't know if RTD is doing it to get people watching the show. It feels like he's just doing what he wants to for the sake of doing what he wants, which isn't great for the show overall. There is that observation that I noticed, and lots of other people have noticed, that it says in the end credits, Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, and introducing Billy Piper. Not introducing Billy Piper as the Doctor like every other credit sequence does. It just says introducing Billy Piper. So what's going on? Is she the next Doctor, or is there some kind of trick going on? I guess we may or may not find out if the show continues. The rumor is that it won't be back until 2027, which, with the war between the land and the sea coming out next year, I think that rumor is very likely if it comes back at all at this point. But I don't know, guys. Like I said, as with almost every episode these past couple of seasons, this was really a mixed bag. I didn't love it, but I also didn't absolutely hate it. I don't know. This show's really gone off the rails. Not at all what I expected from RTD2. But what did you guys think of the episode? Maybe you loved it, and if you did, I'm very happy for you. So let me know in the comments below, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.